Right, hello there guys. Today's podcast is brought to you by the University of Essex Anime and Manga Society, as well as Rebel Studios Creative Studios, a subsection of the University of Essex Students' Union. And, you know, if you want to give any money, we are running a convention in January. The link to is in the description below. Please give what you can if you can. Now, I hope you enjoy the podcast.
Dashes, not slashes.
Hello and welcome in there, guys and gals.
Yes, everybody is welcome here.
Everyone is welcome here.
Yeah.
So this is the Anime and Manga Society podcast
We're back.
after a summer break.
A summer of interesting possibilities
Yes.
and things that happened.
Yes.
'Cause a bunch of stuff happened over
Yeah,
the summer.
but we got to
Oh, yeah.
catch up on
Yeah.
summer because all these summer shows have happened. It's all been
Mhm.
awesome, pretty much.
Yeah.
And now we got to lay back down and sort of
So it's
talk about
like
it.
the last time people heard from us was June.
Yes.
And we've had, July, August, September, and we're now near the end of October.
Yep.
We've been
um,
pushing back and back and back.
Yeah. Today is the 26th of October, so don't mind if we fall behind somewhat. Just so people know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're going to endeavour to try and catch up and talk about what we've missed. I know that we have a new segment that's hopefully should be really interesting. And I think we should probably start there. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, news
Also,
for the news for
Today
the
will
summer.
be a slightly shorter
Yeah.
than we're used
Yep.
to, because
Just trying to get back in the
Stuff.
groove of things.
Yeah.
exactly
We had to get introduced back to the studio. We had to go. We had to
do an
wine and dine
induction
it, make
and
sure we're all
train all
comfortable with each other, and then we dive
Get
back in.
consent.
Get
because
consent.
Where's my
what's-
steak, Daniel? Where's my steak? Gotta take a guy out first. God.
I think it's also a good time to introduce the three
Who we
hosts who are here
are, yeah.
today. We are a man down,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately,
we
but that will
lost
change.
Sam,
We
yeah.
technically have a fourth man here.
Yes.
They'll be coming regularly, and
Wait in the shadows.
we'll also have guests now. We're going to hopefully have pretty regular guests on, people rotating in and out.
Yep.
Swap it up from last time. That feels good.
Yes. So, shall I go first?
Yeah, go
Yep.
on, right ahead.
Hello there, everyone. Cameron Hayden, as usual, was the Anime and Manga president, now retired.
We finally overthrew him. I mean, there
it's
was
a
a
glorious
peaceful
revolution.
The
transition.
glorious revolution that took me out of power, but still a president of baseball and softball. So,
you can't get
still
rid of him that
around.
fast.
Yeah.
A dictator doesn't go everywhere. You know?
No. He,
Yep.
he just
So,
moved countries.
Yeah.
So I'm Daniel, tropes master and qualifier. I am sick today, but I'm still here for you, lovely people.
Yay.
So
You
I
don't-
will try not to let my sounds of
No
coughing-
sick pay, Daniel.
If you, he said if you don't talk much, it's because you're saving your voice.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
important university stuff to do.
Yeah. So my sounds of coughing and sneezing and dying hopefully won't drive you crazy and put you off this podcast. I do have plenty of water, so thank you for joining us.
And I'm Other Cameron. I am pretty much the guy whose entire job is to watch as many shows as possible in a short space of time, so I can report back,
Mhm.
give you my news and my feedback. And
We-
I've been cramming all summer, but the wrong kind of cramming. I've been cramming all the anime that's available. So hopefully,
Stay in school,
Wait,
kids.
bless your essays. I hope they get
so
high.
hopefully sometime in this before the autumn block ends, I can
Mm.
deliver a big awards show and give you my views on
Yay.
what I think is the best shows.
We'll,
of
we
the
get
past
like a
block.
paper digital trophy for that.
Yeah, it'll be the most arbitrary awards show ever done.
Oh.
And it's going to be great.
It'll be great.
Yes.
So, should we dive into like the first segment of the news, which I
Yep.
feel like I'm going to
Ooh.
dominate because I have a big
Yeah.
notebook full of stuff. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to get some sad news out the way first because
Oh.
there have been deaths,
Oh, geez.
some passings away in the anime world. So the
Please,
first one,
not the One Piece creator, please.
No,
don't be throwing that evil about Cameron.
Tight Kobo's career. Sorry, no.
That died many.
All right. So I'm sorry for
That
pronunciation.
died around somewhere around the Fulbright arc.
I'm sorry for pronunciations again, but I'll start with Michio Yasuda of Studio Ghibli, one of the head colorists of the color department, who has been around since Genesis. Unfortunately, passed away. She's notable for working on some of their biggest works, such as Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, My Neighbor Totoro. Sorry. So obviously, we attribute a lot of the beauty and whatnot to her excellent work, and I'm sad to see her pass.
Do you ever feel like it's a terrible thing that we put a lot of support on the person at the top
The
of the
director.
chain, and we
Definitely.
kind of go
I-
like,
I
oh, what
feel
about
like-
all the hundreds of 20s of people
I feel
they
like
have?
definitely something like this puts it into perspective is like because people like Miyazaki and Goro are placed on such a high pedestal.
And those people definitely deserve to be there.
oh yeah, of course.
But in terms of colouring, I remember thinking Totoro, for example, was something I had really never seen before.
no.
And watching it as a kid versus as an adult, when you tend to notice these kind of things.
No, but
and
I kind
appreciate
of
them.
mean that we put a lot of support into the person who is in the head colorist. Like
Yeah.
everything's attributed
Her,
to
yeah.
them.
Her, yeah.
What about the team? It's a team effort.
It is
I
definitely a
agree.
team effort.
But I think it's a good time, considering her passing, it's a good time to acknowledge how important her work is to the studio and how that the vibrancy of Ghibli movies and the excellent palette is pretty much down to her and her team. And she thoroughly
So thank you
deserves
very
it.
much for
you.
helping shape our childhood memories.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you for changing my adult memories.
Yes.
That's when I started.
The next one is a bit more personal, close to. I wouldn't say it's close to me. It's not like I know them, but the Boom Boom satellite singer Michiyuki Kawashima, after years of battling a brain tumor,
Wow.
has unfortunately finally passed on October 9th. Obviously, well known to us for doing the Kisnaiva
Yep.
OP, lay Your Hands on Me. It's ever since then gone through back catalogue, really like Boom Satellites, and he powered through even when he was battling the brain tumor recently, and even completed their final album. And all around the standout guy, and I just wanted to appreciate it because he is a part of the anime world. And there was a really touching tribute that some of the Trigger guys did.
Well,
for
we
his
always
work.
say that music makes the anime.
Yes,
really.
it's true.
Soundtrack is a really important part.
And
of,
its thing is
or any kind of form of entertainment.
It can be quite underrated as well. I think that was the thing when I was first doing the mock of the awards show, because I just don't really listen to the soundtrack. I'm just kind of focused on what I'm looking for. I just did an award, which was the soundtrack award. Everyone wins award for best soundtrack, and I just decided that all these soundtracks were amazing, so they had to go through. But I think now I've definitely got more appreciation. Especially
Like a big part of what made Samurai Champloo.
yes,
for me,
of course.
was one of the greatest animes I've ever seen. Is because the soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah.
And Nujabes, God rest his soul, was
Yeah.
an amazing man. There's another death. He died quite a while ago, but
I'm definitely going to pay a lot more attention to soundtracks from here on out.
We're
I
going to
think
have
it's
an obituary section, it sounds like.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds
So-
like it's
Wait
an
to start on a
instrumental
positive
time
note,
now.
guys.
I'm going on to lighter news now. The final one is the
Who
serious
wrote
topic
the
we were
life?
discussing.
Yeah.
Your Name, Kimi no Na by Makoto Shinkai, which is the big film that's currently dominating Japanese box office. I think it just passed Ponyo's record of I think it's like
Wow.
18 billion yen.
Right.
It won the Special Distribution Prize and the Audience Prize in the feature film category at a animation festival in Korea. And it also topped the Taiwanese box office on the 21st of October with around $2 million. So this movie is going up and up and up.
Remind me what this film is about.
Do you know what? I actually can't tell you off the top of my head. All I
Right.
know, it's been generated. It's meant to be really, really low. I think it's by I want to say it's by the 5 centimeters per second guy. I don't think it's
No.
right, but it has a very, to me, just by looking at it, 5
What's
centimeters per second
the
vibe.
pictures of? Do you remember anything?
No, I'll have to come back and do that.
Is it one of those movies where it's stuck in your mind, but
Yeah,
not in
it's
your
stuck
mind?
in my mind. Yeah.
Like you.
Apparently-
Try
leaves
and
an
see if we can make
impression.
like a group viewing of that.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
Apparently it's amazing. I could probably find it somewhere.
Yeah.
But apparently it's meant to be awesome. I think there was meant to be a point where the Anime Society is going to go and view it in London if it ever comes there.
Was it in Prince Charles, Prince Albert?
Probably something big.
Cinema?
Maybe even
Yeah.
Picture House.
Oh.
Maybe. So
I've not been there in a while.
I've got news that makes us feel great. Konosuba Season 2 got a preview.
Oh yeah.
Konosuba's coming back, everybody.
Remember, it was this radio show that was the first to talk about how great it was.
It was, and
I remember Konosuba being something that we all kind of bonded over.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
something
Because
we all
there
went,
was
oh
no-
my
yeah.
god.
Because there was no one here that hated
I got
Konosuba.
hit by a tractor. Oh.
Oh, you didn't even die from the tractor.
the tractor
You
got
died
really
like a heart
slowly.
attack. Oh god. I think it was a show that we all one of the very
I
early
really feel
shows.
sorry for
Yeah.
that guy.
It was on the very
really
early
do.
shows that we were like, hell yeah, we all bonded
Yeah.
over. I think we had Black Lagoon as one of them where we
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
yeah.
Black
As I
Lagoon,
like to call it, the Michael Bay of
the
anime.
Michael Bay show. So yeah, I just
Oh.
want to say Konosuba Season 2 got as a preview animation. You know, they have someone talking in Japanese that we don't understand, but then they say
Yeah.
Konosuba Season 2. Well, Konosuba 2, and we all go,
My
It's
God.
and then we lose our collective minds.
Yeah.
Finally, on a random sort of, I saw this morning, and it's all to all the cosplayers out there. If you go into Tokyo Comic Con and you're a dude, you're not allowed to cosplay as a female character at Tokyo
What,
Comic Con
anymore?
anymore. They banned it. But
Can females still cosplay?
females can cosplay female to male.
What
So,
kind of
so
double
women
standard BS
women
is that
can
then?
cross dress
To
because
men.
Men love that, presumably.
apparently.
This is the
But
reason
no
here.
trap or men dressing up as
Did you say
waifus.
trap?
They're called trap characters if you're male to female.
Interesting.
Is that because of the idea a guy would come over and be like, "Oh, hello"? Oh.
No, it's just I saw it on the website that
Yeah.
it was, and they call them trap characters, so I thought I'd just use some lexicon. And
Yeah.
so you can't do that if you're going to Japanese Comic Con. And there's other stuff they banned. If you look at their Tokyo Comic Con website,
Right.
they've got more stuff banned than I thought they would. So if you're going to Tokyo Comic Con and you're a dude and you want to dress up as your favorite waifu, probably change your plans
Yeah.
ASAP.
Yeah.
And then
Not so free
Unlucky
in the
bits.
land of the rising sun.
the final thing was the thing we were discussing just before the show, so I want to get into it, is about a lawyer
Right.
weighs in on the animator wages, sort of the.
Ooh.
It's almost like an ongoing, not even a debacle,
It's
but
been a
ongoing
long battle,
murmuring.
really. We all know.
I think we even talked about it at one point,
Yeah.
how we think.
We briefly talked about it.
So,
It's going to be one of my segments.
a Nagoya-based lawyer, again, I apologize for every Japanese
Yeah.
pronunciation I ever do, Hiroyuki Shirakawa, I believe it is, he weighed in a Yahoo Japan article, which then I read a translation of, on the potential illegality of especially rookie and contractor animator wages. He used an example of he'd never named it, but he said a very famous animation studio asking potential new employees to expect to be paid nothing for 1 year. So essentially, they're working for free. Essentially, it's like when people ask artists, "Can you commission work
Well,
for
it's-
exposure?"
That's exactly what I was about to point out, because it's not just animators who are suffering.
No.
So there's the recent voice actor strike, for instance.
Yes, there is underpaid voice actors. I can't remember who's. Oh, because I know there was a list of companies
Yep.
which were affected. I believe Activision was one, a
I
big
believe
one.
so. Because TFS were talking about
Yeah.
that and whether
Yeah.
they were going to be a part of that, and so it's kind of a thing for content creators in general, I believe.
Yep. And
Not
Is
to
it
interrupt you,
just the
of course.
classic
No, it's
thing
like-
where we need, people know
Unions.
if you're new,
Definitely.
Essentially,
you need
unions.
experience. There's no unions there. The companies be like, we can take advantage. You get a good few years
Yeah.
of them working for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but in terms of like independent contractors and
Yeah.
0
I mean,
hours contracts, that's
yeah.
that's an industry wide issue.
yes.
Oh,
not
yeah.
just in
I mean,
animation.
I
in
follow a
everything.
lot of artists on Twitter randomly, and I always see a lot of stuff that they put out about people asking them to do commissions for free simply for exposure, and how that's essentially wrong. That no
Yeah.
artist should be expected to work for free,
Yeah.
because that is essentially
No radio host should be expected to volunteer their time.
it's not that. It's not that. But like these
We
people,
do it for the love of you.
we do it for love. But this is something like, if you're a paid artist, you shouldn't be expected to work for free. This is something, and even if it's a one person and you
Well,
know them, okay,
I
maybe
think this
you
is just an argument we've heard everywhere. Like, do you remember
Yeah.
law firms make a big point as to why they pay interns?
Yes.
Because they said, we think it's wrong to not pay people. And they say other industries do it. And they say, we don't do it.
no.
And in terms of sports and sports entertainment,
Yeah.
Yeah.
WWE has had a really big kind of debacle with independent contractors,
Yep.
and that's why Ryback left, for instance.
Yeah, the Ryback. I love how we just, as soon as we could,
Yeah.
transitive. But if we
But it's relevant.
if we're
So
using a
Louis-
big wide example, the
Yeah.
Ryback issue with WWE is pretty well known at this point, how he's spoken out against the company.
mean,
and
hell,
CM Punk before
This
him.
reminds me of looking at employment rights in this country and in
Yeah.
Europe, and it's the same kind of thing. There's always been an issue over agency staff and like a full-time worker,
Yeah,
and how they're
definitely.
kind of amalgamating it now.
And as someone who's like worked for an agency, your rights are definitely not as respected.
yeah,
So when you have kind of potential employers going no agencies, there's a very good reason for that, because it's a massive headache to deal with.
yeah,
So returning back, I think what he said was that the way he sort of summed it up was, apparently the monthly income for a rookie animator was about 90,000 yen, so equated to about $900. And then he weighed it against the Tokyo minimum wage, which
Right.
is
I didn't even know
900.
they had a minimum wage.
It's 932
Most of
yen.
other countries do have a
Yeah,
minimum
it's
wage.
932 yen.
Not
So
Germany.
not Germany. So weighed up, it was essentially, he sort of found out that they're technically underpaid.
Yeah.
So there was that potential. That's
Was there
poten-
like a way they explained it away, their prices? You know,
no,
like in this country we have apprenticeships and you're paid £3 an hour.
No, because it was just, I believe it was just Yahoo Japan or just talking to the lawyer about, is this potentially illegal? And he essentially
like,
is saying,
yes.
potentially this is a legal matter. And the other thing he talked about, which I found very interesting, is the idea of contract animators. So people who work for multiple studios who basically contract themselves out to work for them. And essentially they don't have the same rights as employees of studios.
Right.
I mean, some studios have been said to bar people under their contracts to not work for other studios, to work exclusively for them. and also they don't get the same rights of employees. And he proposed that this change, that people under contract with studios be treated as employees and get the same rights, and therefore be eligible
Does this
for minimum
affect
wage.
other stuff as well? Like, say, there were holiday times entitled.
Yeah,
or
I would,
stuff like
I
that?
would assume so. I would
Does
assume
it
it affect the holidays. They can, if they're under contract, I bet they can make them stay, work longer hours,
which
more
is
hours.
another problem we've heard in Japan
speaking
anyway.
from a legal perspective,
Yeah.
and I think Cameron, you'll agree
Yeah.
with me here. When it comes to contracts, the courts are not likely to look at industrial practices.
No.
They'll look at
And
the company stuff.
so, if this is kind of common conduct in the industry, then the courts are a lot more likely to,
but
unfortunately, want
with
to
the
uphold that.
Japanese courts, there has been a movement, and certainly in the government, towards positive labour
Yeah.
laws
Yeah,
in
especially
Japan.
especially with Japan, developed Asian countries in general, having
Yeah.
high suicide rates
Yeah.
amongst due to overwork.
Yeah.
I can understand the movement towards
I
a more
mean,
positive environment.
Did you ever hear what the law, the actual law as it is in Japan, says is the minimum, like the maximum amount of overtime hours you do in Japan is now?
Is it quite a lot?
It's still a lot by our standards.
Is it like 30 hours?
It's 40.
Oh, I was
Jesus.
And that, by the way, has been brought down from about 92 or so. It was like
Of
very
overtime?
yeah, and
A
you're not paid for overtime, by the way.
Yeah,
Not paid. You know,
presumably.
don't get double work hour money either. There was a guy who worked for a car manufacturing company that we will not say here, a famous Japanese one, and he was worked to death, and that's what the case actually established, because he worked for them for 3 years straight, never had a holiday, never had a sick day, had no days off, worked 7 days a week, worked about 12 hours a day every day. God knows how he lived that long. And his wife brought the case against them after he passed away. Took her 4 years or something, or 7. But it is a big problem there.
So yeah, that was just one of the big pieces. That was the big piece of news I kind of want to talk to you
And
about.
that's
'cause-
something that's we feel is going to be ongoing.
Yes, I feel like until someone comes out and just says that there's this huge problem, it will
Yeah.
constantly be an issue that bubbles to the surface, has its moment, and then
Everyone
goes
comes
back.
I mean,
and
that's
just
why
resurges and
I've
resurges
always
until someone blows the ceiling wide open, and this becomes a whole blown legal battle between.
Yeah.
Until an animator union comes forward and goes, "We have been slighted."
Well, I mean, has Japan been like anti-union in general? I don't know if they have a lot of unions to begin with.
I'd have to
It,
do some
it depends
research.
on what industry you're talking about.
Yeah.
I reckon some.
Because with the kind of advent of the Keretsu cartels and things like that, there's definitely been anti-union sentiment sometimes. But that what I'm talking about
Like,
is in terms of shipping and steel.
Yeah.
So I couldn't
yeah.
tell you what's going on in
No,
that.
we'll have to do some more research into it. So
That's my segment. I'm covering that now.
cool.
All right,
So-
so it's called dibs.
Japan's industry.
Well, you can do that. That's a preview for
Yay.
next time.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
So we'll just that was the news. That was just things I'd pick up. Thank you, anime subreddit, because usually
thank
they bubble to the surface quite fast. And then so I had Yahoo Japan was the main source on that one. So thank you to Yahoo Japan as well. So we can move on to sort of what we've been watching / doing this week. Have any of you been? What have you been watching in the world? What shows have been catching your interest?
So
Are we going to talk
Go
about
on,
Berserk?
Danny.
you knew what was
No, no,
coming.
no, no,
Hell
no.
yeah.
Because for those of you who don't know, Berserk is my favorite anime of all time.
Yes.
And-
I'm Gar for I'm Gar for Guts.
Yeah, and the new season came out. There were a lot of complaints. There were a lot of praise for it.
Unfounded complaints.
I
in my
agree.
opinion, you know.
I actually really liked it. There was
Yeah.
stuff. There's an issue particular I have with it that they skipped an arc that I feel is quite
Which
integral.
arc was that?
The Rosine arc,
Oh, the Rosine arc. Okay.
Right.
and that I feel is quite integral to understanding Guts'
Do
character
you think they'll do it in
development.
season 3?
No.
They may have like a brief.
Do you think if they
I
did
think
something
they'll
like
do
the-
it.
but it won't have the emotional impact.
No, but do you think acknowledging it will be better than not doing it entirely?
Honestly,
Right.
honestly, no. I think
Okay.
I think
They're going
that
to stick with their guns.
I think that maybe they should. That maybe now that we've done it because they've kind of got their own canon and things going on, maybe we should just skip
Continue
Rosine.
on. Do you think they might bring it back if they did an OVA like they did with the Golden Arcs? They
Maybe.
might slip it in there,
Maybe.
sort of thing.
That'll probably be after this, like season 3 is finished. They do a
Yeah.
separate OVA about the Rosine arc.
I mean,
I think, like I said, I think as you said, Cameron, Berserk
Yeah.
got a lot of flack.
Yeah.
Especially, I think
I heard some really unfortunate things about it. Like
Yeah.
they made Casca white.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
a big complaint on the anime.
I
subreddit.
can't remember if she was. I thought in my head
She ain't
she's
exactly
more
that white,
caramel.
though.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like
She's supposed to be. We finally saw
Yeah.
the Kushin invaders.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is something I'm really hyped about. By
Yeah,
the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be the same shade as Casca.
but they're not.
But
they're
She's not as them.
No.
Yeah.
We're actually not sure
She's
where
pretty
she's
much looks
from.
more Mediterranean than she looked because
Yeah.
especially with the costume, it's what they call it again? No, the dudes who turn up and are invading.
Well, the
Kushans.
costume.
The Kushans look more. There's an Arabic.
They're supposed to be
aesthetic.
like a more
Yeah.
Indian Arabic.
Yeah, there's an
yes.
Arabic aesthetic,
Right.
whereas she is more like Mediterranean, sort of that south of France.
Maybe
sort
they'll
of
just
bronze.
imply that because she's been brought up in essentially
Midland.
Midland, yeah.
Midland. It's like a colder climate. So
Yeah,
that
okay.
affects the skin
We've
colour.
never been. At least I'm not sure because
No.
I don't know if they ever explore her origins in the
Yeah.
manga
Uh,
further than what they have already. I don't
I
think
don't
they
know.
do.
I haven't read it
Yeah.
so far. But I also think that the animation was the biggest sticking point for pretty much the fan. The fan base,
Honestly, there were
thing
times
about-
when it was barely noticeable,
yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
and then there were times when I was like, "That is goddamn ugly."
That's like
like
Kingdom.
when Mozgus,
Right.
who is one of my favorite villains
Yes.
in Berserk, when he
Which one's
transformed, I
Mozgus?
didn't think
Is that the one who turns to a
prostrating,
goblin?
the prostrating guy,
Spoilers
the,
alert.
the prostrating Bible,
the
guy.
dude with
Yeah.
the weirdest face in anime history,
Head of the church,
got
basically.
They got
such an
the
odd
face
face.
exactly.
This the
right,
guy
though.
that turned into an angel and then into a rock
the
That's
golem.
ex-
stone
what I'm
demon, the
talking about,
stone
yes.
angel, yeah.
So when he transformed into a stone angel in the manga, it is terrifying.
Right.
In the anime, I thought, that's really, really well.
Do you want to know something interesting?
Yeah.
On the Blu-ray release, they're changing some of the scenes back to hand-drawn animation.
Oh.
Ah!
Do you think including this one? Golem Man.
I don't
I
know.
certainly hope so.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to be as big scenes as that. I think it's literally going to only be very small scenes.
Yeah.
Like they
Right.
use an example of that scene where the little girl's running for the woods and then runs into guts.
Yep.
In
Right.
like episode 6, 7. It's definitely after the weird horse bit and the bit
Right.
with the thing.
The
Yeah.
weird horse.
It's definitely later. I'm pretty sure it's before she meets the blacksmith again. He meets
Yep.
the blacksmith again. But I don't think it'll be anything huge. I think the big fight scenes, which I will admit, CG when it comes to big fluid battle
Yeah.
sequences
That's what they're set for.
does a lot better. Like I was watching, I'll talk about it because I was watching Arjun because I thought it was
Oh,
so
yeah.
logic. And I got to admit, the corridor scene, the gunfight in the corridor, I think it would look worse in standard animation.
Yeah.
It feels awesome.
When you talk about CGI fight scenes, you kind of have to include Ruby in the conversation.
Yes,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Because,
That's basically
I
all
say
all
unfortunately
CGI,
because
yeah.
I feel like we get
Yeah.
crucified for it's like it's not anime, it's made by Americans. We're not going to get into that.
Ah,
Look, okay, we're going to save that. We're going to save that debate for another day.
another
Okay, because that really
I'm using the
frustrates me.
Yeah.
anime subreddit
But,
rules. It's like
um,
we can't have this because it's made by an American studio.
Yeah.
That's pretentious nonsense.
But yeah,
But returning to Berserk, the reason I feel like Rosine is such an integral part to the plot,
Yeah.
and why we missed something when we didn't have that introduced in the anime, is that we don't get to see Guts at his worst.
yeah,
So when we do see him change his mind and go after Casca, it's not as big a deal.
It's
No.
not really a bigger
Because-
deal at all because you thought it was like a continuation of the Golden Arc.
Exactly. Whereas, let me explain.
Yeah.
In the Rosine arc, one of Guts' most heinous crimes is using a kid as bait for an apostle.
Right.
It's presented as a big moral event horizon. And when you compare that to Guts, who, remember when he kills that kid?
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Order of the
He
Fifth?
cried
and completely
he
loses his
just heads back
sanity,
and basically gives
and
up
then
for
compare
dead.
that to Black Swordsman Guts,
Yeah.
who was willing to do
Anything
anything.
to
Yeah,
save
the apostle.
Casca and to kill apostles.
No, not even to save Casca, to get to Griffith and kill.
Oh,
the
to
Is
kill
that
apostle.
why
Yeah.
it's such a big thing when he gets back to the farm and they
Exactly.
say to him, "Oh, why haven't you gone
when
after
that
Casca?"
guy,
Yeah.
that a-hole, decides, I'm going to step up and man up and get my responsibilities and save Casca,
Yeah.
Huge deal.
it's a huge deal.
It's
Whereas
his
it's
redeeming
a
feature.
big deal in Berserk, the anime. But because, again, as I have to reiterate, because we never saw him at his worst, seeing him get better, because I do feel he was still grieving and he
Yeah.
wasn't dealing with that.
yeah.
Seeing him get better isn't as big as an emotional punch. And
No.
that's something that I feel like
They missed out.
Rosine did really well.
Okay.
Plus, Rosine's a really good villain as well.
Mm.
She's really good at generating sympathy, and Jill is quite a good kind of foil to Guts, the innocent child.
Yep.
So I really like the Rosine arc, and I feel like it should have been done, but I can definitely understand why we didn't do it.
I can.
Why didn't they do it?
Time,
Yeah, I can
pure and
understand.
simple.
pure and simple. But I feel like if they had done it, it would have
Lifted it.
cut into the Mozgus arc.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people complained dragged a little bit.
Yeah.
because they spent a good 7 episodes.
They spend literally half
That
the
was a long
show
time.
in the basically the
Around that
proximity of that
tower,
huge tower.
Yeah, and
I did
while
feel
I
like it
understand
went on a
why,
while.
a lot
Oh,
of
and
people
they
didn't
spend
like
loads of time with Lucille. Is it Lucille?
Is that the one with
Luca.
the blonde hair?
No.
Or
They
the
spend a
one
lot
That's
of time.
with
Farnese.
They spend
Farnese?
Farnese. They spend
Yeah.
a lot of time with Luca and her story.
Is that the head prostitute?
Yes, the head of the prostitutes.
Okay.
And yes,
And there's a very good reason because Luca is a very kind of integral role.
yes.
Later on.
For that segment,
Yeah.
she's the only other person who the skeleton knight is revealed.
Skull Knight.
The Skull Knight has revealed himself to.
Yeah.
Right.
And she meets with the egg.
Yeah.
Which if you don't
the
get
egg,
the big
the egg
old
of the
catalyst.
perfect.
the egg of the perfect world. So she's very important, but I almost felt they spent too long just dealing with the encampment as a whole. Like that, I feel like the dragging, because once they got into the tower and started doing his thing, I was well down for that.
Yeah.
I'm well down for that. It's just the bit before it, because you know the tower's coming, you know the big climax is coming, but they kind of go, now I'm going to spend some time with these people. And it's kind of like, I understand why they're doing it, it's because these are important characters.
Yeah.
Also, the only other one is the other one who's sick and dying and cries a lot.
I can explain that.
I know, but her character kind of drags a little bit.
I definitely hate her.
Yeah,
But
I hate.
when you compare her to Luca,
yeah,
what you realize is that, and this is what Berserk does really, really well in terms of characterization, is that we are a lot more like. I honestly can't remember her name off the top of my head.
do you know what? I can't either because I was so annoyed about her living.
Yeah.
Is it this?
Damn it!
This still the
We
blonde
are-
curly-haired girl?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's the one who literally
It's the
Regardless-
one who
who's
drags
like
her
Casca,
boyfriend.
She'd rather
You
say
could die
She
'cause
drags
I
her
broke my
boyfriend to a
nail.
pagan orgy
And then push them off the cliff.
Yeah.
and then she's basically quite selfish.
Yeah.
in the
Like all
sense
the
that
time.
she wants to live, but then
Yeah.
it's understandable because
Exactly.
everyone wants to survive in the
Yeah.
A
Berserk
lot
universe.
of us are a lot more like her than we are like Luca,
Yes.
who is
Yeah.
almost unrealistically selfless.
Yeah,
and
I am
giving and
the
loving.
prostitute with a heart of gold.
She's
Yeah.
basically like the soft side of Guts when he changes, isn't he? Because he's a bit of a hard guy, but his actions make him
I wouldn't say
selfless.
he ever goes soft.
I can definitely understand why you'd think that
Yeah.
in terms of their interactions,
Yeah.
but that's probably the most interaction they have in the manga.
Yeah.
Because she goes on to. No.
They-
No, I
they-
just
I'm not
mean
gonna
like
spoil
her
At the end,
actions
they,
so
they
far.
all, they
have
all
been-
splinter off and do their own
Yeah.
thing. They got Guts goes off to do his thing and hunt Griffith.
Yeah.
Hunt
Griffith.
Griffith. Go and then everyone basically splits and does their own thing. So that like 7 episodes of interaction is all they have.
Yeah.
And at that point, Guts is way more focused on killing the apostle and getting Casca back.
I just meant though, in the sense that the actions they do, not necessarily their motivations, are very selfless.
Yes.
Yes.
know.
Okay.
Because Guts
Yes.
does like save the crew later on, like at
But
the end. doesn't
Guts doesn't really do that.
he? I know he's not doing it on
because-
purpose.
I think he does it because
just
at that
happens.
point, what he wants just happens to align with including
Yeah.
saving them. Like he wants to defeat Moz. Goes, I got to save. Oh no, I've
Might
got-
as well save them. They're here.
there's
anyway.
all these there's all these sludge demons around. Everyone's dying. I just happen to be near people I should be saving. I
Yeah.
want to live. I might
Yeah.
as well save them while I'm at it.
In terms of Guts doing like interacting with people, because he has to,
Yeah.
and kind of
like the
them
kid
humanizing Guts. We're going to see a lot more of that in.
Isn't that
The third
even
season.
there?
Third
That's
season.
quite a change from who he was in the first season, like proper first season back
Yes.
in the day.
Because he was a loner.
Yeah.
But
He
then
was the guy who had to be dragged to celebrations and things like
Yeah.
that. So
But then he's also more interactive in that very first season. 'Cause obviously, he's friends with Griffith and whatnot in his Band of the Hawk. Like he has much more interactions. Friends, yeah, okay, okay. He's obviously more interactive. But it's obviously like in this last season, it's obvious that what happened at the end of the anime, like 19 years ago, has literally destroyed him beyond repair.
yeah,
And he
as it would
anybody,
I
and
feel.
that's why he's like, I literally don't want to speak. Humans, I have no time for them because
Yeah.
anyone could be Griffith.
Yeah.
Anyone could do the same. Which is why it's so weird that little kid just follows him around the whole season. Is actually like,
Isidoro.
is like a decent person, and so is Puck.
Yeah. What's you're going to talk about these fairies? How do they even factor in?
I don't know.
The little elf people.
Do they exist in the world? And he's like one of the last or something.
You would know this if Rosine happened.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I'll have to read the manga then.
That's all I'm gonna say.
If they
Rosine is the first kind
Right.
of big arc after
Right.
the eclipse.
Can we
Okay.
talk about Rosina if they skip it in the OVA?
yes. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, let's do that.
If when the spring season is over,
Yeah.
and if it's Rosine, I will break it down.
Break it down.
Yeah.
Right. Cameron, what have you?
But one last thing about
Oh,
Berserk.
okay.
So
Oh,
obviously, I loved it. What did you guys think?
Do you know what? I was going into it, and obviously I saw early reviews,
Yeah.
especially on my anime list, because everyone gets their opinions out on that site.
Yeah,
And I was
they do.
like, this is getting a lot of early flack, but it's the first thing of Berserk we've had in forever. And I'm not one to literally go, it's CG, I'll never watch it. It's obviously terrible. I've got to judge it on its own merits. And I think it's some of the best world building we've had in some time, because unlike other shows where some things they do, they've established their universe, and things they do in it feel out of place. Everything this show does, by every character, every action, whatnot, feels completely content in the universe, in this dark fantasy world it
And that's
creates.
something that a lot of anime do not do.
Yes.
Yeah.
They write the world around the character.
Yeah, they ask you to accept the world for how it is, and be like, just now go with it. Whereas, very quickly, Berserk established, like, this is a terrible place to live. If you've watched Berserk season 1, you
know
get
this
how
is awful.
you get how horrible this world is,
and even the best of people, which I would argue
the
is
worst.
Luca in this season,
is
have
They
to
still
do
have
horrible,
sins.
horrible
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
and like it's obviously like reminiscent of plague ravaged, Christian governed medieval Europe.
Yeah.
Very
Maybe
very
even Black
reminiscent.
Plague.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Crusades just started.
and the great. This is
Oh my god.
that is pretty much
I cannot
that
wait.
is pretty much the OG setting for dark
Yeah.
fantasy. Is a religious, a theocratic,
Yes.
plague-ridden state.
And as someone who loves dark fantasy, you can see why
This is your realm.
this is my
And
anime,
I
basically.
think while the animation doesn't work 100% of the time, I reckon it's still like a 75% to 80%
honestly,
hit
it was
rate.
not as bad as I thought it was.
No, I never think the CG is going to be terrible unless it proves to be terrible. I mean, Ruby's been an early concept of breaking that this style works. I remember in season 1 being going, it doesn't look how I want it to look as a show. But by like midway through season 1 and getting over the length issue, I was like, do you know what? This show does things right in a lot of senses. Some stuff isn't, like, obviously for me, lip syncing and
That needs
sort
to be
of
improved.
general
Yeah.
some emotion is better in the CG. Like definitely anger is done very well.
Yeah.
But
They did Mosgus's angry face
it's so funny.
really well.
Some emotions are done much better than others. Like the generic faces aren't. They're just like. But I actually give a lot of credit to Berserk, and I'm very happy that there's more coming. I will say that it's definitely not the train wreck it has been portrayed. It is definitely much better than people have been saying it is. I think the main issue is you have to. I'd say they're purists in that anything other than hand draw, anything other than the traditional style is some sort of godless entity. Once they get over that,
What's wrong with godless entities?
Oh, damn it.
once they get over that, this is a fantastic show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Cameron,
You wanted
thoughts-
my
thoughts
one,
on
so
Berserk?
you're going to see like a slightly different approach. But at the end of the day, I've always been a CGI advocate. As you know, I believe it's the better way. People are paid fair wages. That's our first point, linking back to earlier. I remember being at talks where we had head animators talking about CGI and how they thought it was the way forward anyway.
Well, it's
So
like-
if the industry wants it,
It's like CG in normal in Western movies. Like,
Well,
CG
that's what they
is
were
the
talking about.
CG is the CG for the Western was the revolution, but but now but people condoned it now because the death of practical effects.
Yeah.
And how it's the case of people like it when it works well, and they'll be like, oh
And
my,
sometimes it works really well.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get Avatar.
yes,
And then sometimes we get Jar Jar Binks.
which is say what you will about
Everyone's so
Avatar.
anti-Jar Jar Binks, huh?
Say what you will about Avatar and how it has no cultural impact at all, and it was
and it's the most derivative,
movie ever.
unimaginable plot
you
ever.
you can't
Is
deny
there
that.
like a second movie of that soon?
Oh, James Cameron is only interested in making Avatar.
Oh, that's because I heard they wanted to do something about the other Pandora's Oceans, which is a shame.
Well, no, he's only making Avatar movies. In that he's making 2, 3, 4, and apparently 5.
Bloody
so there
hell,
are
it's gonna take
Avatar
a
He's
while.
in the
coming
business of making Avatar. I think he's something he
Since
said.
it made him billions.
Yes, and what
Well,
he's,
hey, I'm not
I'll
gonna
be in the
gonna-
industry.
what say what you will about it, and I have said
Yeah.
that it has no cultural impact. Like
No.
you're not going to talk about it like Star Wars when you
Yeah.
did, but it's
I remember talking about Star Wars Force Awakens for
even
days
now,
after it came out.
it still looks damn good, and it's
Yeah.
amazing what you can do with CG. I mean, even in the maligned prequels of
Was that,
Star
like,
Wars,
basically-
some of the like art in terms of the CG work by Light and Illumination is amazing. It's a shame they put stuff in front of it.
yeah,
That was really
but,
bad, but I
Was
understand.
Avatar was like the 3D revolution as well.
It was the 3D revolution. That was the bad part of
Yeah.
it. Was it revolutionized a thing that's only worked in a very few instances, like Gravity was
Yep.
one of the few movies which I'd be like, see this in 3D. And
Most other things, it was basically like 2D. You could take your glasses off, you'd be fine.
yeah,
I've seen it advertised on both 2D and 3D.
2D.
And,
I think 3D was actually better at the time, but now I'd rather watch it in 2D. So yeah, you're a big CG advocate.
More stuff. So
What's your thing on
Did you say
Berserk?
Jaffa Cake? Yes, I am.
What do you think Berserk?
Well, there's loads of things.
Ooh,
By the way, back to
spicy.
CG. Love Kingdom anime. I don't know. People need to
Okay.
watch that again. I wish there was a
Oh,
fourth
Kingdom.
season. Do you remember Kingdom?
Because
That was like
we
massive CGI.
we recommended it for the. There was one night where it's kind of that genre,
yeah.
where it's like kings and whatever, and
Yeah.
we recommended Kingdom.
I don't think I
Yeah.
was here that night because I don't think I've seen Kingdom.
You should see it. I've seen Kingdom.
Carrying
It's great.
on, we haven't got a lot of
Okay,
time.
so move,
We are
move
running
on,
out of
move
time.
on. So,
I don't know
well,
about
I don't know if you know, but obviously the company that made Berserk is a relatively new company. This is probably
Yeah.
their biggest
their biggest production.
they've ever done. Yeah. And that's why I think it's an absolutely amazing job, and they've gone
Yeah.
in a different direction than everyone else because that's the only thing they can do. They're not like an established company. It's like England and winemaking. You know, they can't follow the mold because they aren't the mold. If they do what everyone else does, they're going to lose out. And that's why I was annoyed when looking on online forums, people are like, "Oh, why is this not being done by like Toyo Animations or something like that? They'll do it so much better and all 2D." And I'm like, come on, guys, give them some slack. They've done good work for what time they have.
Well, I definitely think that the bigger animation studios are bigger for a reason,
Yeah.
and that they do produce like high quality things.
I don't know. They've just been around for a while.
Yeah, like to some extent, there is kind of you're buying a brand
Yeah.
and you're selling a brand. So Apple, for instance,
Yeah.
to me, Apple doesn't make good phones or good anything.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
It's just overvalued.
Yeah, it's just you're buying the brand. You're buying the privilege of saying, "Oh, I have an iPhone 7 with no headphone jack."
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
But in any case,
But
yeah.
leaving Berserk because we do have to wrap up.
Just one
Well,
more
no,
bit. One more
wait,
bit.
wait,
I'll just
what-
bring
what-
in. I'll
one
just
more
bring
thing.
in
You
what
got, like,
Sam.
2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. I got 2 minutes. So Sam said at one point that he liked the way Berserk was done because it uses a lot of actual film kind of approaches
Yeah.
of how you would set up a scary movie. He says even the way choosing to do CGI is a deliberate act because it upsets what you're used to. So if you'd gotten used to 2D with the previous Berserks, then if they'd done the whole thing in 2D now, it would not have been as scary. So by using CGI, it kind of messes with your mind because it's a new thing.
I will
and
say that
adds to the element.
the rape horse, and I really don't like having to say
I
that.
just see the rape horse is such a that's like a
Jesus.
joke.
That's
That was
like
so
episode 1 or 2.
so
episode
weird.
2.
No,
Yeah.
that was actually close to episode 4, I think.
Is it episode? It's the first apostle. It is.
It's not really.
It's not an apostle.
Is that the one where
Isn't
you
it?
have
It's a
like the
possessed
horse?
Oh, it's the possess.
Yeah.
No, oh yes, but there's an apostle in that.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like the dog
the
handler.
keeper of the
the
house?
keeper of the house,
Who was actually a really minor character.
a butler,
in,
isn't he? He's a murderous butler.
He's not even that in the manga.
But
he-
in,
he
this show,
literally-
in the show, he's a murderous butler.
He shows up earlier in the manga, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, I tracked you down. I'm here to kill you." And
Okay.
Guts kills him.
Nice.
It's the first kill he gets with the Dragon Slayer, the massive
Yeah.
sword,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Nice.
That's
Wow.
all we know about it. We don't even know why he's called the Keeper of the Hounds in the manga. So I like what they did with him in the anime.
Yeah,
yeah.
it made it more
I
interesting.
mean, I'm not going to show that horse scene though to any new people.
No.
Oh,
I have put
Oh,
Berserk
that was-
on though.
what I'd be like is I'd watch. Luckily, if it's in the 4th episode,
I'm
you-
like,
and it-
watch the first
watch
3.
the first 3, and then don't, and then
Don't tell him.
and then be like, if you're gonna watch this, prepare for episode 4,
Yep.
and especially because later on,
Yeah.
Farness is possessed, and
yeah,
it gets
and she
re-
goes in naked. doesn't
She goes
Yeah.
full
I'm
creepy.
just like,
old
I'm
guts.
not sure if I could watch with my family.
Oh no. This
no.
is to
Well,
watch.
to be fair, I watched it with my brother. We both started laughing.
This is to watch late at
Terrible
night
question,
on your
right?
laptop when no one else is around.
Yep.
In the toilet.
No, right?
Right, moving on.
Okay. I'll just ran through what I've been doing. So
Yes.
I finally finished Flying Witch after binging it, and that is the most relaxing show
I've heard
watched.
it's a very good show.
It's really relaxing in that not a whole lot happens, but what
Right.
happens is just like really calm. It's just relaxing. Basically, just watch these people get
Is
on
this
with
the
their lives.
anime where there's like one character in the background doing random stuff?
Yes, and I don't know, but I can't remember. But basically, like it's just about a witch doing her daily things and interacting with people,
Yeah.
and it's just really relaxing and really lovely to look at. I think it's JC's staff. It's just really
Mm-hmm.
nice to look at, and it's just really nice, like really just lovely. It's just so calming.
Mm.
It's like gliding down a babbling brook. It's fantastic.
It's a
And
really
then-
poetic way of putting
yeah,
it.
We're gonna
and-
write that quote down.
And then I'm about halfway through Argene season 1 because season 2
Sweet.
just come out.
yeah, got to catch up.
It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
And also, the English voice cast is great because the first 2 episodes, when the main character finds out he's an Arjin, he basically goes on the run with his friend. And I looked
Support
up-
the Dubite.
and I looked at it. It's like, oh, basically, the first couple episodes are about Ichigo and Staz from Blood Lad teaming up to ride a motorcycle, and it's Johnny Young Bosch is the main dude, and I'm like, I recognize instantly. It's like, oh, it's the Bosch, and I'm like, hell, I'm down for this. So it's actually a really good voice
Oh yeah,
cast.
speaking of Bleach, didn't it end over the summer?
Yes, ended.
Oh,
Wait,
we're gonna
what
talk
do you
about
mean
that?
by what?
The
what do you mean
manga
by the word
ended.
The
end?
manga finally ended.
Tight Kobo,
Really?
Tight Kobo had the manacles taken off him. He was allowed to go
Can
outside
someone
where
tell
he
me the
instantly
ending?
evaporated. Oh, I can tell you. I can tell you
thank
one
God.
part of the ending that really annoys me. In that they ruined the greatest ship of all time, and Ichigo does not end it with Rukia. He ends it with Orihime,
And Rukia ends up with Renji.
and it
What?
and it makes me want to.
What is this rubbish?
I know.
Oh.
Because it's like my friend was saying, "Oh, it makes sense." I'm like, "No, it doesn't." Because if you watch the
It really doesn't.
if you watch the first good season, so
Yeah.
seasons 1 to 2 and maybe
They're getting
3,
pretty close.
it's like all they do is like interplay with Rukia and
Yeah.
Ichigo the whole time. Basically, they're flirting without flirting because it's
Yeah.
basically them being like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
I still refuse to believe that hormonal teenagers can live
Yeah.
together. She is living in his
his
cupboard,
house, in his cupboard, and
and no one else knows she's there, and nothing happens.
and
What,
somehow
Orihime.
No,
Rukia.
Rukia.
Basically, they're living together and have to interact all the time, interacting all the
Yeah.
time, way more than Orihime ever interacts
Well,
with Ichigo.
remember, she does stab it with her sword later.
Orihime and Ichigo react is
Yeah.
interact, I should say.
It's all
Is when he has to go and save her.
The abuse
Yeah.
episode,
In
from the
Hueco
brother,
Mundo.
and it's like, this makes like a tight. I'm sorry, you done messed up because you basically said that what wins here is the fact he knew her before Rukia because
Yeah.
they just
No,
known to
that's
It
a
is sort of
true-
like a Naruto ending.
No, because
No,
Naruto ended well. Hinata deserved him, and
Yeah,
I'm here.
if-
no
what-
other argument.
What would have happened? It would be the case if he ended up with Sakura
Right.
because that's the sense of.
I'm just glaring at you. right now.
That's how it kind of feels because they basically because Hinata and it would be like that because
Yeah.
it's like again we think
Yeah,
that
but like
Hinata
we were,
is- we
yeah, but
in the same way-
Sakura's like not a great one. I
but,
feel like-
but by your logic about interaction,
Yeah, okay.
he should have ended up with
yeah,
Yeah,
but you got to
but-
remember what is
but
it?
no.
Is if Ichigo isn't dead? I don't know.
I'm
'cause
talking
Japan
about.
told me
he's
he's dead.
alive.
I'm talking
Right,
about
then
it
he's
in
in
the
the
sense.
world of the living, so is Orihime.
Yeah, but-
Rukia's basically in the
I
spirit
guess that
world,
makes
so
sense,
is Renji.
but it's a case of interaction. But then Sakura would, but then it's a case
Come
of
on.
who we think
He
is more.
saved Soul Society how many times?
He
you don't
literally-
think they could make an exception?
Who's got bigger breasts?
he
Daniel? That's what it
literally-
came down
um,
to.
the
know
I'm
that.
an ass man.
Whatever the captain of like the 13th
Yeah,
battalion.
Von Giku
Von
wins
Giku
that.
wins that.
by quite a bit.
But in the case of who we think is most deserving, it's the same case with Rukia. Like, he literally breaks into a basically apparently unbreakable place. He literally
Yeah.
nearly kills himself to save this one person who's only known for like a season.
Yeah.
He literally tries to kill her brother so he can save her, and he breaks all the rules and goes in and basically powers up because of her.
Right.
Yeah, but it's
Playing
been years
devil's
since
advocate,
then, so you know.
Ichigo does kill Orihime's brother and does break into an unbreakable place to save her.
True. But
And
this
it's
happens
further on in
later.
the arc system.
This happens later in what I call the insanity period, when
Hey, Hueco Mundo was... It only went on too long. It was still
I count
good.
Hueco Mundo as like a main canon area. It's
Yeah.
the biggest story arc, so
it goes on like
It goes on
five-
forever.
it slips in through everything.
It takes too long to kill
Yeah.
Aizen.
And unlike Soul Society, where it feels
Aizen
like...
hangs around too long. as
Too
a villain.
godly.
I
I,
think,
still think they should have ended it.
I think that was.
when he
an-
loses
By the
his
way,
powers.
did anyone ever kill the king? That king that they
Yes,
mentioned?
Ichigo's son does.
Yeah.
Through
What?
some magic of Deus.
He has kids already.
I don't
For
know
the power
how
of
he
Deus
does
Ex
it.
Machina, he
but
does it.
Somehow he manages. I don't know.
But yeah,
I don't care.
I-
I'm not gonna finish. The
Bleach
manga.
has a lot of problems. It's not gonna lie, especially later on. Like,
Yeah, I've read fan fiction. that treats
Should I
Ichigo
read like an
more.
abridged version of it? Because
yes,
maybe.
find an
Yeah.
abridged.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, I haven't watched any seasonal shows because I'm too busy catching up.
Yes.
I tried to watch a show which is about Rakugan, which is the old Japanese comedic style where it's one person performing many roles,
Right.
where they only do it while sitting down. And I was watching episode 1. I thought I could really watch all of this, binge watch it now. And then I realized it's long form, so it's 50 minutes an episode.
Wow.
so,
that's like a proper comedian.
This
there.
show is really good, but that kind of like halters because basically
How many episodes are there? In
12. So it's like
So
an-
it's Helsing, basically.
so it's a Western show.
Yeah.
Basically, and it's hard. It's not hard to watch, but it's hard to watch with the time. Whereas I've been watching instead, which is not even a show that's Satakai no Ichizan.
Is it
which
that kind of feeling you get where you're like, oh, I think 20 minutes has passed now. Why is it not finished?
Yeah.
yeah,
That's-
that's
yeah.
how I feel about Breaking Bad.
that happened to me when I was watching Rewrite, and I had to
Yeah.
drop Rewrite because nothing happened because in episode 1 nothing happened to
Yeah.
hook me. Whereas this has hooked me, but it's a case of like because I now want to watch some more Western shows. Like Walking Dead, obviously just had season 7. I'm like, oh, it looks so cool. But I only stopped watching before season 3. Maybe I'll catch up, and I got it on Prime. It's like, but if I commit to watch a season, that's like 24 hours worth of content.
Yeah.
I feel the same way with Game of Thrones, and I love Game of Thrones.
I can't
It's
get
just
into Game
like
of Thrones.
if you have to catch up with the seasons,
Yeah.
you
Like, I'm
got to
halfway
find
through
yourself a
season
couple
6.
of months.
Just before the Battle of the Bastards.
Yes.
And which everyone is raving about.
Yes.
And somehow I managed to avoid spoilers.
Yes.
But
I avoided all
I
spoilers
just
at
don't
this
want to watch it.
No.
I'm
And
so tired.
yeah,
for
like
it.
I said, the only other show I've been watching is Setokai no Ichizon, which
Yep.
is because I saw it. I saw a really funny gif of it from the anime subreddit, which was the one where it's on the train in episode 7, where he's like, because he's traveling with the school council all girls, he has to be like manacled up and wearing a blindfold, and then they torment him by saying, "Oh, look, her negligee is so sexy." He's like, "No, I must see it." And then there's a really funny bit later. It's like, "Wait, are you not where are your pajamas?" "Oh, I don't wear any clothes when I sleep." And then you hear him from like the 4 carriages down, "Nani?" And it's like, what, he can hear us from that far away? It's really funny. Again, it's basically about a guy who it's basically about the daily lives of the student council in this high school, where
So it's a slice of life kind of thing.
yes, like and it's slash harem, because the main character, who I say the main male character, he's on what's called the blue chip seat, where it's if you get the best grades, you instantly get on the school council, because everyone else is effectively voted in by popularity, is effectively voted in because of who they are, and it's usually all girls. And because he wanted to get into the student council and basically make a harem, he basically made his grades go from the worst in the school to the best in the school.
That's what I call dedication.
But it's funny because
Take notes, EC.
in episode 1 of in the first episode, it feels like that's going to be the whole thing, and it'd be really uninteresting, dull, and boring, and everything I don't like about harem shows.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, this show is basically an airplane style show where it's literally joke after joke after joke after joke, visual gag after reference after reference. They constantly reference Bleach by having an apple eaten midair and by having a Death Note appears. Like, look, like, because there's one character, Chizuru, who is basically like really attractive and really nice, but she's actually secretly like I think she's like really dominant. Like, there's like
So my anime waifu.
yes, basically she keeps calling the main character Sugasaki her property. And there's
Never mind.
and the student president, who's like this very diminutive lolly kind of character. Every time she sleeps, she's like whispering, like, "You belong to me, you belong to me, you belong to me." And she's secretly really twisted and like masochistic. And she's
Sounds like
I was like,
Sayako from
it's like,
High
what
School
book
of
are
the
you
Dead.
reading? I don't know, but Chizuru gave me this book full of coolest names. No, we can't reference that. And it's like, they're like, why don't we call this show The Melancholy of? No, because we'll get sued. Like, they keep referencing other shows, and they like put like big crosses and censored because they can't. They reference all these other shows. Like, and at even one point,
Is it like it's sort of like Gintama in that sense?
yes, it's kind of like Gintama humor, and it always focuses on their meetings and how unproductive they are. But then there's actually really good development in later episodes where basically you find out Sugasaki has had a really crappy life.
Could you compare this a bit to the daily lives of high school boys?
Yes, I would. But there's more.
Prison school.
But it's more normal in that their lives are more normal. There's really and all the characters are really interesting. I mean, there's Chizuru who I've talked about who's a bit asking. There's Sugasaki who's basically everything wants to be harem, and he compares everything to an H game where he's like, I want to use the president plot line. I want to go through that and complete it, and that's how I get my harem. And it's very funny. And then there's Matsuru, who's basically like a very aggressive fighting sort of almost like a shonen character, but she's a girl. And then there's Mayafu, who it kind of annoys in the beginning because she talks in the third person, where it's always she doesn't say I, she says her name. Right. And she's like an RPG / boys lover, and she's constantly. There's a really funny bit. It's for the whole arc. She's constantly writing this book about Sugasaki shipping with this imaginary character called Namakaguru-san. And then in the end, Namakaguru turns out to be a real person, and he turns up. It's like it's like my fantasies, and it's really funny. It's basically a very funny show in which the harem is just an element of Sugasaki's character, which he happens to bring up a lot, rather than the harem like in High School DxD being literally the dominant reason he does anything. Because Sugasaki's actually just a nice guy, but he's kind of has this harem things. It's all he's got. It's really funny. So Satokai no Ichizon is pretty awesome.
Your 50-minute episode.
No, this is actually 20 minutes, and because it's so rapid fire in terms of jokes, it feels really quick.
What was his name again?
What the show's name?
Yeah.
Setokai no Ichizon.
Okay, I had to watch that
it's called like the student council's discretion or something in English, or the daily lives of the student council. And I'd say it's like the daily lives of high school boys, but it's a bit. I'd say
different.
It's a bit less. It's more referential in that, but it's not like big reference. It's like very quick references and dialogue. Everyone speaks quite fast, and it's really funny. And there's just some really funny moments. Like there's a really good episode. My favorite episode, I think, is when he has to look after the little sister of the president of the journalism club, who hates the school council because she basically didn't get on it, and she's always writing scandalous articles about them. And this little girl is like really, really good. It's like, let's play doctor. It's like, oh, okay, that sounds fine. And she like looks through the blinds. You have cancer. And it's like, and she like talks about really adult things. Like, well, let's play house. Okay, I'm the abused housewife who. It's like really funny. Like she's really young, but she has this really weird mind. It's like, what has your sister been telling you? And it's really funny, and how they interact. It's pretty funny. And there's obviously like illusions, like they're always like, it's like, who votes that Sugasaki should go work in the corner, and they all vote instant death. It's like, why? It is so funny. And there's always moments where they have like the softening up, where they all so like, oh god, why are you talking about harems again? But they obviously all have their moments where they do like him, and they're like, I think there's one where he's holding hands with Chizuru because it's part of a fortune telling, and they just hold hands. It's clearly not a fortune, but just because they can. And the president breaks it up. And clearly it's because there's lots of background stories with the president and whatnot, how they're meant to be really good friends, and he basically started working hard because of her and helping her and whatnot, and he's always going on about it, and he's always trying to.
When you say stuff like start getting Dan Mackey flashbacks.
No, I'd say it's really good. I'd give Satoko no Uchi. Like I said, you know how much I don't like harem shows.
I feel like this reminds me of Real Life. Did you ever watch Real Life?
Real Life is one of the best shows of last year. I'm just going to put that out there. It will be appearing on my list.
I feel like there needs to be a season 2 because obviously they talk about him going to college. Maybe
I think they'll have to do season 2 just to resolve the major WTF emotional moment at the end of season 1.
For those who don't know,
you would think that, but
I almost think it works this way.
Yeah.
Let's just quickly explain what Real Life is to anyone, because we're not going to have much time for anything anyway. So Real Life is an anime about the idea of a person who's a bit of a wastrel nowadays.
He's basically a NEET.
He's a NEET. Yeah,
and
he has a job though.
He's trying to get he had a job, but he quit it because there was in his backstory, like things go down.
No, I don't mean that. As in like
he works
part time.
He works in a supermarket.
Yeah, so I wouldn't entirely call him a NEET because like NEET's not an employment, right?
But he basically hates his life.
Yeah,
he wants to, and then they give him some dude appears to him in the street and
says the government has come up with a new drug that allows you to go back to when you're basically make you
high
younger
school
again.
age. High school age. It's like 17 again, but good.
Yeah.
And there's a reasonable explanation for why he transforms into a 19-year-old.
Which is explained as the season goes on.
Yeah. And it's really, really good. Yeah. Like, not gonna lie, like it's a comedy profoundly more, but then it gets more emotional as it goes on, because it's pretty much pictures like a
and
comedy.
It brings in so much stuff that's in Japan that is a problem right now that creates NEETs, because they often say, like his one, spoiler here, relates to how his mentor was a female in the work industry and how she was basically driven to commit suicide.
Wow. But because of the male-dominated culture.
Yeah.
Wow, it got dark real quick.
Oh, yeah, it does that. It's not the thing is, it's pictures of comedy. There's lots of funny moments in it, but it's not afraid to just be very blunt and be like, no, this is the reality. And like,
this is where he came from.
The one of the characters he makes friends with is obviously like, she's bullied. Isn't she bullied?
She's bullied.
She's bullied, and everyone thinks she's weird, like, and there's one big episode where she has a misunderstanding with someone.
That's the thing, isn't it? He's like, because he's an adult and he's been put back into child form, he thinks like an adult. So he's like, oh, we need to deal with this. We need to solve this. So he starts doing stuff to solve people's situations,
and it's very emotional. Later on, it gets very emotional. The last couple of episodes are really, really like emotional kicks, like in the best way. In that you'll be like, damn, that was so well done, but it really hurts that it's that well done. I mean, I could just go on about some of the best shows from last year. I mean, Berserk is in there. I want it. It's up for an.
Damn straight.
But in the sense that it's like in the sense that I love it. Considering what everyone said about it.
Well, we're still talking about now the new anime from this season.
I was going to talk because we haven't really watched much of this.
I've watched.
You've watched. What have you
watched?
watched?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. Thing is, I think it's a bit too early to make judgments. I feel like once you're halfway through.
Can I make a judgment on one series?
Is it bad or is it great?
Oh, it's awesome.
What is it?
Okay, so it's called To Be Hero.
What's okay?
I don't know if I've mentioned it before in our normal conversation. So this is. I'll give you episode 1. So every episode is about 11 minutes long, so it's a short. And I always think that shorts are good for people who are businessy people.
Hey, one of my favorite shorts was Luluco from last year.
Oh yes. But anyway, so the anime To Be Hero. This is the context. All right. It starts off the episode. Here's a gentleman. He's suave. He's sophisticated. He's good looking, and he's talking to a girl. And they're in a bar, and she's pretty nice looking as well. And he's like, yeah, I can tell exactly right now what the size of your ass is, just from my glance. And then she starts going on about how he can see her asshole, and how he all this rubbish. And then a girl comes in and kicks him in the face. He's 38, by the way. Turns out this girl's his daughter. That's her dad. And she's like, you sluts, get lost. You know, he's got a
Yeah.
kid. He needs to chill. He needs to stop drinking booze, going with different
He
women.
needs to do dad
You know, and
things.
she was like, this is why mum left you and all this. And he's just sitting there outside. And he's going, oh, I'm sorry, my daughter. You know, how do you keep finding me? And she says, you keep going to the same bar.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. But anyway, this continues. And he goes back home. And then she's like, I'm going to take a shower. And then he goes, oh, I need to take a dump. And he just throws her out of the shower room. And then she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, you take a shower. It's fine. I'm just like, I've seen you when you were young. And she was like, no. So he locks the door. He's going to the loo. He's trying to relieve himself. And then suddenly he gets sucked into the toilet. You know, and this whole thing talking about how he's a hero. You hear that over the thing like, oh, he's so going to be a hero to his daughter. Gets sucked into the toilet, appears in front of someone who looks suspiciously like Mario from Super Mario Bros. Massive plumber guy who's big, heavy set, and he goes, you're the only one taking a dump at this period of time, so you will be a hero. The Earth will be attacked by aliens tomorrow.
7 billion.
I can't believe that he was the only one
You're
at that
taking
point
a dump
on
at
the
that point.
bathroom at that point.
Yeah, and then they're just like, anyway, we're going to make you a hero.
Is this the show where they make him fat and then
Yes.
he gets and then he becomes a hero, but he has to become fat?
He becomes fat, his words get twisted, so he gets thrown out of the toilet then, and he's like, and they're like, oh, the power may change you slightly. He looks in the mirror and he's like, what? He's like a 40-something, he looks like a 40-something, big, massive fat guy, nothing like what he looked before. And then his daughter's like fell asleep trying to kick the door down, so he puts her in the bed, and then goes, she'll never realise who I am. So he picks up a teddy bear, like her childhood teddy bear. She wakes up and goes, who the hell are you, you fat bastard, basically. And he goes, he tries to say, I am your father. But for some reason, because of this thing he's in, the words change. So he says, I'm here to look at you naked or something like that.
This sounds like, I don't know. That sounds, just hearing
It
like,
sounds like
crazy.
someone wrote it when they were high, thought it was a good
I
idea.
love-
and got
yeah.
funding.
Oh,
wait,
it's just
last time
funny.
that happened, we got panty and stocking.
Is that what happened?
No,
Yes.
they all went to a bar and got drunk, and they said
Yeah.
we should make a Western cartoon. And they were
Let's
like,
make panty stock.
and they made panty and stocking, and they effectively made
Yeah.
the best R-rated Western cartoon
By the
ever
way,
made.
you got to remember, the people that made 2B Heroes, they're releasing it now. We're on episode 3, and the hero has already had his heart ripped out of his chest.
Nice.
So I don't know if the season's ended now,
No.
or it's going to be an episode like
No, hey,
2 days.
if Ryuko proved you have the heart ripped out of your chest and you could be fine one episode later and then murder your own mother at the end
Yeah.
of the season is fine.
Oh,
That
okay.
sounds
That's
amazing.
Parasite, isn't it?
Which one?
The one you just mentioned.
Oh, Kill the, it's
Parasite.
Kill the Kill.
I thought it was Parasite.
Right. 'Cause
No,
I've
Kill
never
the Kill.
seen
Remember the whole plot. If you've never seen Kill the Kill,
Yeah.
you've seen it, haven't you? Oh, like a big plot point is there one point where she gets her heart ripped out by the main bad guy,
Right.
and then she literally is fine like the next episode because she has she's like Wolverine essentially.
I was going to say, that
Fair
reminds me of
It's-
Parasite Maximum, because there's a scene
Oh,
like
yeah,
that where
yeah,
his
he-
mum walks in,
And then
kills
obliterates
him,
his heart, and then
and then
Miggy fixes it for him.
and then he kills his mum.
Yeah, later in the
So,
episode, he has to kill his mum
Similarities.
because
Is that a trope? Maybe that should be a trope.
no,
now.
I don't think that's a trope.
I will look into
The
it.
murdering
Since that's
your
kind
own-
of my
I say
job.
Murdering your relatives.
Murdering your parents is probably just it's just a good plot point because
Yeah.
well, the thing in Kill la Kill is that you don't know it's her mum because there's a big plot point where
Yeah.
it turns out that the main bad guy Ragyo Kyurien and Satsuki's mum, turns out that the shared father of the daughter is Ryuko Matoi's dad,
Right.
and turns out they're sisters, and that Ryuko is a baby who was attempted to be merged with life fibers, which are things that make up their powerful uniforms, Goku uniforms, and like Senketsu and whatnot. But she was discarded because they thought she was dead. But technically, her father saved her and then left the Kyurien Corporation and left Ragyo to raise Ryuko.
Just putting out, I have no idea what you're talking about.
What amazing.
Can I say, watch Kill la Kill? It's
Yeah.
a seinen anime
Right.
because it makes fun. It basically makes fun of magical girl animes. It
This
parodies
is
them
not
very-
one of those animes where we got into an argument as to if it's a magical girl or not. And
Oh,
I
it's
said
magical girl.
It
It is magical girl. I'd say it's
Yeah.
magical. But it's like
It's based
it's
on how
Trigger.
original magical girl
it's
animes
Trigger
were.
again. So
This is the other
basically,
direction.
the sailor uniform she has, Senketsu, which is the god uniform. When it's in its god form, it's really revealing. In that it basically is like straps here and that's it, and normal attire and whatnot. And
I've
it
seen a
talks
person cosplaying as that.
I've seen dudes cosplaying in it.
Oh, good
it's
lord.
great. And the thing is, because
Anime in Japan.
there's a really good explanation later.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the explanation is that, and then in the beginning, she can't use its full power because obviously she's embarrassed she looks like that. And it's kind of a empowerment thing that says once you accept what you look like and who you are, and how you look, you can wear me. and that means accepting who you are and what you look like.
Yeah.
Will make you stronger.
Become an
which
exhibitionist.
basically is a body positivity thing. Once you accept who you are and what you look like, and that's
You'll
how you
look
are.
beautiful to everyone.
Surprisingly progressive for Japan.
Yep. And then she
'cause
accepts
it's
it, and
kill
she
the kill.
becomes like one of the most powerful. I mean,
Yeah.
even Satsuki Kyurin gets one called Junketsu, and hers is just as revealing. And she's like, her thing is like, I don't care if I have to be this naked to fulfill my ambitions, because compared to me achieving my goal, nothing is more important. Which again, an empowerment thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I will do whatever is necessary. And it's really good, and it's triggered. There's some excellent 3D animation work where they do like full vistas of battle scenes. Every battle scene is amazing. For me, it's the standard of having a show which blends action and comedy, where they don't feel like they're in two separate rooms and you have to walk between the two rooms every scene. Like, when they happen together, because each moment of comedy is tied to the character.
Yeah.
Like, it's either something the character does, like, there's one guy who gets naked quite a lot, and it's because of his character.
Daniel.
The teacher. The teacher gets naked a lot because
crap.
he's part of a thing called Nudist Beach, who are against life fibers, so don't wear life fiber clothes. And he gets naked all the time. Like, every time he's in a scene, like, his clothes
Will
progressively come
slowly
undone,
disappear.
and it's really funny. It's because the characters are the source of the humor, and the action is because of the scene. But because they're in the same space, it melds. It's like Film Alchemist did this to a degree, because all the jokes are tied to a character.
Yeah.
Usually Edward Elric.
This kind of reminds me of, what was it, Shokugeki over the summer? That was also quite good.
Yeah, because it's tied to character.
Yeah, I tried
Yeah.
Shokugeki no Soma.
Did
No,
you?
what you need
Could
to
not
do,
get
Daniel,
into
I'll
it.
tell you what
No.
you do. Sit down with me, because what I always do is I watch
Remember,
the Shokugeki,
it's a
and then
cooking
I
anime.
make it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, what it is if you remember Ready Steady Cook, all I'll do, right? What they need is a new Ainsley Harriet.
Yes.
I will call myself the Ainsley Harriet of this radio show. Okay.
You can't be Ainsley Harriet.
You can't. No, I can't. I tell you why. My dad used to go to school with him.
Hold on. I am the only black man
Yes,
in the
I
room.
say you wanting.
Why are you Ainsley
Because I'm the chef.
you wanting to be Ainsley Harriet?
Because everything I cook is with oil.
Can I say-
Okay, spiritual angel.
Can I say anything
What?
you saying you want to be Ainsley Harriet constitutes blackface and therefore racism?
Oh, what the hell, man?
To be
I
fair,
don't
that's a
see
good-
colour.
That's a good point.
I don't see colour. There you go. Who's
It
the
doesn't mean
racist
it
in the
doesn't-
room?
so-
It
Who's
doesn't
the
mean it
racist
doesn't
in the
exist. It
room?
just means you're colorblind.
I think
Ah.
Shigeki no Soma works as a character thing,
Yeah.
like because it's due to their cooking styles and whatnot. And
So is it worth another shot then?
Yeah.
I agree, it's worth the shot.
Are we doing anything for Black Month, by the way?
Black History Month.
Samurai
Yes.
Champloo.
I think is what you meant.
Any
Yep.
show, I want to say any show with a.
I
basically
reckon. Do you know
Samurai
what?
Champloo.
No, I'm going to recommend the
I'm
one.
gonna binge watch.
Ah.
I'm going to binge watch the Boondocks.
No, you know what I'm recommending?
Does that
What was the one that had
It counts-
Samuel
it
L.
counts for
Jackson
me.
in it?
What
Does anyone remember the anime that had Samuel L. Jackson in it?
Oh, Afro Samurai.
Afro Samurai.
Yes,
No,
I recommend that one. All black cast, everyone.
Black Lagoon because it has Butch
Dutch.
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 I'm sorry.
good
Character
one.
names are lost on me, like because Dutch
To be fair, I always called him Duke.
and Dutch
For
is
some
Dutch
reason.
is an awesome character.
Yeah.
And the Boondocks is again another show
Yeah.
inspired by anime.
Anyway,
And
so
it
that's
is
what people
amazing.
Speaking of
watch
Black Lagoon, it
History.
actually plays quite prominently into the trope that I want to do for today.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Did you say you want to do for today?
Yes,
We
I
don't have the
I
time.
have a trope.
We
What-
have
what
6
time-
minutes.
What time is it?
Look at your watch.
We've only been recording for like an hour.
Look at
Yeah.
your watch. Yes,
Oh,
because we started at 1.
Do you think we can sneak it?
yeah,
in?
I thought we were booked for
Do
2
it.
hours.
Yeah, 2 hours
12
from
to
12
2,
to
mate.
2.
But we started at 12:50.
But but
But the booking was 12 to 2.
God damn it. Well,
remember if we want
unforeseen
We
consequences.
can carry it on until next
like
week. You
say,
could just
if
introduce
we
it.
if we want to. Now we know we got your trope series back because
Yeah.
me and Sam were talking like, is he gonna do tropes this season? Is he gonna?
Is
Do
he
I
gonna bring it
specifically
back?
said, yeah.
Yes.
I've got
Yeah.
one.
So, but
Oh.
like I said,
I've got a series I wanted to do.
Are we going to
next
do
week as
stuff
well.
like each one of us follows a series along and talks
Well,
about
That's
it?
what I was
You-
thinking. That's what I was
yeah.
thinking because I was recommending that I do
Yeah.
Drifters.
what we can do in that case,
Ah.
we can put that in the instead
If
of
you want, you can have
We-
Drifters.
can we share it?
no, because if we want to encourage different things,
Okay.
Yeah.
because that means we can use that.
I say we do like a series that we don't necessarily would watch by ourselves.
Okay,
Oh.
So I'd watch a mecha or a shoujo.
I'd be watching Bungo Stray Dogs season 2 if it was. So I
But
won't.
you love
It
that.
is out, isn't
I-
it, Bungo?
Yes, but apparently it's amazing anyway. Apparently season
Yeah.
2 is awesome, and I would say I'd watch that. So I'll do something different because that in case we can do that instead of
Yeah.
of.
Well, I'm keeping the shorts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they fit in my
Yeah.
time
Right,
requirements.
so I'm doing Drifters then.
Yep, you
Yeah.
can do drifters. You can
I'm
do
gonna
shorts.
I'm going to do To Be Hero,
Yeah.
Cheaters, which is another shorts
Yeah.
one. That was going to talk about briefly.
Yeah. So we can do this instead of because we did shows we've been watching this week.
Yep.
We'll be watching those, and we can talk about them and how they've been progressing.
Yeah.
So that means I'll just have one show that I can watch out of this block, and then just catch up later.
So much easier for everyone.
And then when I'm caught up with all the shows from summer, I can just be like, hey guys, I'm hijacking this so we can talk about the shows from last year in one big block. And I hope you've watched some of them. Because otherwise...
When does Arslan Senki come out? Does anyone know?
Arslan Senki, I don't know.
Oh.
I'm trying to think what's actually in this block because I was considering, like, do I want to do an award show about 2016 as a whole? And do I want to make it so it's...
By the way, I recommend you watch Drifters. Drifters is good. It
Yeah,
has historical characters.
it's on the
I didn't
list.
realise. Although
I was considering.
Hey,
do I
that's
want
my
to do,
thing. I say it's on the list.
just
Do I-
so you know, Europeans are sort of counted as bad guys.
Yep.
Good.
And I read ahead a little. Hitler's in it.
Nice.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Hey, stop spoiling it for me.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's supposed
So
to be covering Drift.
I was considering do I do autumn to autumn to autumn?
Yep.
Right.
But then I thought Oscar season in the Western is more like winter to summer.
Yeah.
And that makes more sense because then I can basically that means weirdly up for grabs in this award show potentially Noragami Arigato because it came out last year autumn block and what with One Punch Man and I'm like how is it that recent? So that's instantly won best OP award because I love that OP. So it means I've got and that means I don't have to watch this block
Anyway,
as much.
So what is the plan, guys, for next week? Because we've got 3 minutes. We should probably tell everyone.
Well,
So tune in next week to hear me talk about Drifters.
and your trope.
Which I will be watching, today, because I have nothing more to do today.
I've got an
talk
essay
about
to write.
short people.
in anime.
You will see.
Wait,
Empirical person there, Daniel.
I'll probably be finding.
Shut up, Mr. 6 foot over there.
You liking my eyes, huh? The women be loving us.
I'll probably find a show in the current block. I won't do Bungo Stray Dogs as much as
Right.
I really want to, but I feel like I should give that.
No, let's not watch this. Like, if you find something about Bongo Stray Dogs that you really, really like.
Oh, I want to watch it because I love season 1. In that sense,
Yeah.
I thought season 1 was underrated, and now
Like, I'm going to be watching a bunch of shows that I should have been watching. Captain of the Iron Fortress, Keys and Ivor, all of those things. So, all the things you basically recommended I do for a while.
it basically what some of my favorites from last. I think RE0 is on that list for you as well.
Yeah.
Which
Which
feel
my brother won't shut
which
up.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do like a bit of a early snapshot, hopefully, of an award show. In that, I don't think RE0 will win the top award.
I don't think so either.
I feel like there's 2 shows
Whip.
that. Well, at the current time of viewing, there's a show I think is better,
Right.
and the show I was talking about, Rakugo. I don't know its full name. I call it Rakugo, which is the long form. I feel like that could even be better. And I've got to consider all because I feel like RE0 just get loads of hate because it's like the waifu generator, and it's been
Yeah.
so adored because it came out of nowhere. White Fox, I don't know them especially well as a studio, and they came out of nowhere, and it was really, really good. I was really shocked.
What I'm really surprised about is that we haven't talked about Mob Psycho 100 yet.
I can talk about that next week if you want.
Yeah.
I can talk about Mob Psycho. I can do a nice breakdown.
So some of us are going to be talking about stuff that happened over the summer, basically.
Basically, I can do this as like the pre-show to the
Yeah.
eventual awards I want to do.
Yes.
There we go. Basically, for me, it'll be the pre-show and talking about specific standouts.
I'm going to talk about shorts and probably troubles in Japan or Asia.
Ooh.
You know, I always love my Asian
Yes.
general problems.
You'll,
how they're in
you'll be
anime.
running the news instead of me.
No. You got like the light news. I'm all the dark news.
So are you going to do all the
I'm like
depressing stuff?
corporate evils. You know, I'm
Jesus
like, we're
Christ.
here to make a change, humanitarianism.
And I'm here like, oh, there's a preview for this new show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Someone
Oh.
did a Kickstarter for a
Yeah.
dude about the metal arm that comes out his back.
Is that actually a thing?
Yeah, called Metal Ude. And it's Kickstarter. I'm not kidding.
how much he raised?
It's been kickstarted or something. And,
wow.
And I'm pretty sure. And then there's like the only 3 characters revealed were the bad guy who has like hundreds of them. It's weird. And then the female characters whose arms appear from under her skirt, which is hilarious and weird at the same time. And it made me go, "Ugh."
Nah, I'm not going to make that joke.
No.
Nope, not going there.
But because
What
I
was the
tried.
joke?
I tried to look at who was
Yeah.
the person getting it funded. And she's an animator, but she hasn't worked on a lot of projects.
Oh.
But I was interested in who she was.
Yeah.
I think she did some
Are
key
you trying to
animation.
get a name up or something? I don't know.
I could try and get there.
Maybe we'll keep that as a secret
Yeah,
till
I'll-
next week, basically.
I was going to put it in the news for this week,
Yeah.
but we're hearing a Kickstarter about because if she was more famous in terms of a Western perspective, in that she'd done stuff I knew about, I would have talked about it. It's like, oh, she's got a new product coming out, awesome. But it's in the sense that it's cool, it looks alright, the preview looks
It's definitely
fine.
an interesting kind
Isn't
of
there an
concept.
anime game coming out soon? Like One Piece? Has One Piece got a new game coming out or
Like
something?
Dragon Ball Z as a game,
Yeah,
Xenoverse
no,
2.
Xenoverse 2 just came out.
Yeah.
Like There's loads of them. I mean, like
There you go. Anime games
Ooh,
have
that's
come
something
out.
that's something I actually want to talk about. Super.
What's that?
Dragon Ball Super.
Dragon Ball
Keep
Super.
that in mind for next week, Danny.
Oh, well, I have to actually watch it first.
Hey.
So maybe next month. I don't know.
So,
sometime
right.
soon.
Next week we got the tropes,
Yep.
and you want to potentially talk about
Yeah.
Drifters.
drifters.
And we also got this week, people, we got the anime session tonight, which is
I
Friday,
Wait,
sorry.
there's a session tonight.
Friday.
I won't be there because I'm
Yeah.
catching the train. I'm catching the train that
Down
morning
to
to go to
Georgia?
Comic-Con.
Okay.
I'm going to Comic-Con on the Friday.
Yeah. I'm going
Skipping
to,
all my lectures.
I'm playing baseball on the
Woo.
Saturday, so I won't be joining you
So-
Saturday, but I'm going down Sunday. So we've got MCM on the weekend.
Mhm.
There's also a Halloween party for the Anime Society on Monday, I've been told.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So the next podcast will probably it'll be another week one. We want to move to
Yeah.
Saturdays. Unfortunately, we've got to talk to some people, get
Yep.
on board on the radio
Yeah.
thing, so we can come in on the weekends and talk
Yeah.
it through.
But
Yeah.
next week we should have a full roster.
Yes, hopefully. Well,
Hopefully.
we'll talk to the
Yeah.
fourth man, see what he can do.
And,
Yeah.
Maybe even a guest.
Yeah.
We got to get them in, get them inducted, get them to sign
Yeah.
up, and then we'll be good to go. Because it's always nice to hear other opinions, like rotating opinions.
Yes.
Get some more views on what we've been doing. Someone to tell us to shut the hell up and move on.
Because God knows we need the
Yeah, none of us are going to do it.
So yeah, I'll probably watch Bungo Stray Dogs, and I'll report back, and I'll probably end up talking about my highlights of last year's from autumn 2015 to summer 2016. I'll probably start with like RE0 or Mob Psycho. I'll probably start with Mob Psycho because it got brought up, and
Yeah.
I got a lot to say, especially in comparison to One's other piece,
that's
One Punch Man.
that's what I was. That's why I brought it up because I wanted to see how you thought it
Oh,
compared.
I'm not probably not gonna be as controversial as everyone thinks it is. It's probably my opinion is probably more widely held than I think it. Then I think it probably isn't. I think probably what I think
Yeah.
people is widely held, or what I think is controversial is probably like, oh yeah, everyone's like that.
Everyone, yeah.
Which in my head it sounds wrong, especially how well One Punch Man was received. I feel like because it basically was like the savior of anime.
Anyway,
for
guys,
them. Yeah,
we're starting to run.
This is the tangent
now.
problem we have. We
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
get rid of it. We just want to talk and talk and talk. Is there a
Yeah.
4-hour slot we can do so we can just talk on? For
You know,
infinite?
I tried asking. What would have to be is I book a slot, and then one of you guys books it right afterwards.
Can
and
we
could
do
do
that?
Yeah,
We
because
can-
there's
we can
nothing
say it's
against
for-
that in
we
the
can say
rules.
it's for our wrestling podcast, and then just
Which we actually have to start.
which we do
some-
want
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. So tune in then to hear me bash John Cena for 2 hours.
Gay.
And
Oh, yeah, that really did come out. Interesting.
to
Yeah.
me go, Roman Reigns isn't as bad as everyone thinks he is.
Oh. By the way, if you
He's
guys
still not a
want
very good wrestler.
if you guys want to join me, Ultimate Frisbee is doing a WWE
Yes, they are.
social.
Yeah, I
2 weeks
heard,
from
and
now.
that's something I probably
Yeah.
will go to.
Yeah, we'll have to dress as WWE people. Maybe.
I haven't got
And
en-
there goes my interest.
I haven't
Just
got.
putting a hoodie and be like them in their off hour.
I haven't got enough oil for my hair to do the Roman Reigns look. There's not enough oil in the known universe for me to get my hair as slick as Roman Reigns is.
Anyway, yes. So we should be saying goodbye to
Yes.
everyone.
So tune in next time for
Which-
more banter,
More
More
tangents.
more tangents. God knows. God knows more tangents.
And-
and more of our beautiful
I
voices.
think we did pretty
That's
well.
Yeah.
For the first returning show, I think we did all right.
So welcome back, everyone, and thank you for listening.
And see you next time.
See you next time.
Where's this mouse?